I had a great guest on my show last week. It was Ben Armstrong, AKA BitBoy Crypto. And he said, Brian, you know the thing I love about the bear market? And I said, what is that, Ben? He said, the bear market is when you get rich. We've all seen the crypto markets lately. Nobody knows where they're gonna go. And one thing is for sure, these markets are more volatile than anything I've seen out there. It's absolutely incredible. Most people trading these markets have no idea what they're doing. I'm talking about you newbie traders. And that's because they're sheep. And as Gordon Gekko likes to say, sheep get slaughtered. This will shift the structure of the whole financial system at a macroeconomic level. Think about that. Decentralized finance is already revolutionizing the world. You just don't know it yet. This marketplace is growing at breakneck speed, and it's going to generate trillions of dollars in opportunities and give financial freedom back to 6 billion people. I spent 15 years in the centralized finance world. I've never seen anything like the DeFi markets. They come up with innovation that the banks couldn't and wouldn't do. You really need a trusted source of information. You need a mentor, you need a community, you need a game plan, and you need a foundation. I'm looking for collaborators. I'm looking for colleagues who want to join forces with me. I'm going to be dedicating the next 10 years of my life to this DeFi ecosystem and giving financial freedom back to the people. Finance is so much more than currency. Right now, your money is being ripped off out of your stocks, out of your savings account, out of your retirement plan, out of your insurance. You just don't know it. I think it's your basic human right to have your own financial freedom and be able to use your own finances the way that you should. This is why you need a community. This is why you need mentorship. This is why you need a structure and a roadmap of how you're going to learn about these ecosystems. You can't do it alone. The DeFi Academy is probably a better source of information than all these crypto news websites because they really aren't in the game. This is your moment. Take advantage of it. It might be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This could take you down a road of incredible enrichment, incredible purpose, incredible service to humanity. Welcome to DeFi Real. We are live. I am Brian Rose, the founder and host of London Real, and this is our brand new program devoted to everything known as DeFi or decentralized finance. This is the $9 trillion a year marketplace. And here, I will teach you how to profit from what I'm calling the greatest dislocation of wealth in human history. These are exciting times, and I'm so glad you're here. Today's show is specifically going to talk about complex DeFi instruments. I'm talking about yield farming, liquidity mining, liquidity pools, and staking as well. This is how to profit from crypto without trading it. A lot of you newbie crypto traders and you day traders out there are doing the wrong things, and we're going to talk to you about the complex things going on behind the scenes and why I am so excited about this. Or I'm going to be teaching you, as I like to say, how to be smart and trade like Gordon Gekko. I'll be playing some quotes from my favorite movie, Wall Street, today. Today, I'm going to teach you how to profit from yield farming, how to profit from liquidity pools, and how to profit from staking. And look, we've all seen the crypto markets lately. Nobody knows where they're going to go. They're up, they're down. We don't know if they're going to Bitcoin's going to go down to 10,000 or back up to 60,000. And one thing is for sure, these markets are more volatile than anything I've seen out there. It's absolutely incredible. But most people trading these markets have no idea what they're doing. I'm talking about you newbie traders. And that's because they're sheep. And as Gordon Gekko likes to say, sheep get slaughtered. And here's a picture of Gordon out there. Gordon also said the public is out there throwing darts at a board. And he's talking about you newbie traders as well. Well, I don't throw darts at a board. I only bet on sure things. And Gekko goes on to quote Sun Tzu, The Art of War. And he always says that every battle is won before it's ever fought. And again, what I'm trying to show you are trading philosophies that I've adopted over the past 30 years. They're real, they work, and I'm teaching them to hundreds of my students right now in the DeFi Academy. We are mid-course. Couldn't be more excited, and I'll tell you more about what's happening inside the accelerator. Incredible group of students from around the world. We have the best DeFi community out there. I'll take the Pepsi challenge with anything. We have the best students here, and we are building the long-term success of this DeFi ecosystem. But I want to say on a serious note, the reason I always like to quote the movie Wall Street is because it's literally littered with so many truisms. Everything is accurate, from the characters to the attitudes to the trading philosophies. And I think we can all learn from that. And here's a picture of Gordon Gekko embracing the latest technology of the time. He's there with his mobile phone, of course, out at his beach house in the Hamptons. And I'm confident that if Gekko was around today, he would be embracing the technology of crypto and DeFi and he would be ripping everybody's throats out. I'm confident he would. And so let's take a little inspiration from Gordon and let's get into it today. And I want to talk about how to trade these complex DeFi instruments. I'm talking about yield farming, liquidity pools, and staking. We all know that Forbes magazine recently said, quote, "This will shift the structure of the whole financial system at a macroeconomic level." Think about that. And the truth is this. This is what I like to say. Decentralized finance is already revolutionizing the world. You just don't know it yet. This marketplace is growing at breakneck speed, and it's going to generate trillions of dollars in opportunities and give financial freedom back to 6 billion people who don't have access to proper and advanced financial markets. And I can't wait to get excited here and talk about what we're going to get through today. What I want to say before we get started is what you're about to see is educational content. It is not financial advice. Obviously, seek a professional before you do that. Look, we've all seen these markets. They continue to be volatile. I had a great guest on my show last week. It was Ben Armstrong, AKA BitBoy Crypto. And he said, "Brian, you know the thing I love about the bear market?" And I said, "What is that, Ben?" He said, "The bear market is when you get rich." And I told that to my students on my private calls this week, and they were very excited by that quote because a lot of you crypto day traders out there are in tears talking about your diamond hands or your paper hands. But meanwhile, in the DeFi community, we know the infrastructure is being built when we see the bear markets. And that's what's most exciting about this. So I would say to anybody out there who's struggling with prices and crypto, et cetera, these are the good times. And another recent article we saw, and I'll put this headline up on screen, we've heard that now George Soros and Steve Cohen, who's a big-time hedge fund guy up in Connecticut, are going in on Bitcoin. And of course, this news site said, here's why that might not be a good thing. Now, this is something I said last night on my live call with my Academy students, and I'm going to share with you a little of this knowledge for free. And that is this. Be careful of what information you consume out there, because every piece of information you consume about crypto, about DeFi, actually about anything, comes with its own agenda. And it's not the same agenda that you have. So a lot of people see these headlines, they panic, they get in there, they start buying and selling their crypto assets. And guess what? The only people who make money on the end of the day are the miners, the media companies, and the central exchanges. Don't be one of those people who panics, who reads headlines, who has that dopamine kick. That's not why we're here. And that's why I have a select group with me inside my academy who are trading with discipline, Gordon Gekko style, for long-term gains. But I just want to caution you, be careful of the news services that you bring your brain into, because they can change your trading strategies. They can make you go bankrupt very, very quickly. So watch where you get your information and watch how you ingest it and how seriously you take it, because it could lead to wrong trading decisions. And of course, we've seen massive volatility in the past. Last year, this is a graph of what happened on Black Thursday. That was March 12th of 2020. We saw Bitcoin drop 40%, Ethereum drop 30%. These were major gaps in the market. And I've got one question for you. How are you going to trade your crypto when markets are down 30 and 40%? You've never seen anything like that. You've never felt anything like that. Do you know what liquidity even means? Do you know what it's like when it dries up? Well, I'm going to talk about that today, and I'm going to talk about the trading strategies that can prevent you being taken to the cleaners when these markets gap like this in massive ways. It involves strategy. It involves removing your emotion and trading with discipline. And that's what we teach inside my DeFi Academy, and that's what I'm doing here personally for the next 10 years, because most of you are going to lose your shirts, you're going to go bankrupt, you're going to be stopped out. I read a statistic the other day that 95% of crypto day traders lose money, right? And that's probably you. And without the right mentorship, the right discipline, and the right community, you have no chance in this market. And that's why we are banding together inside my academy with an incredible group of people. And I've got an announcement coming soon about our second DeFi accelerator, and I'll be sharing some of that as well. A couple more things I want to say. Again, the bear market is when you get rich, especially in DeFi. And we've seen the quote-unquote DeFi summer back in 2020 when crypto prices fell, DeFi exploded. And much of that infrastructure we are enjoying today, incredible platforms that I'll be talking about today as well. I always like to see what Gordon Gekko has said. And again, Gekko said, "I don't throw darts at a board." And here's a short clip of Gekko talking about how sheep get slaughtered, how he doesn't throw darts at a board, and a few of his top-line trading strategies. Here's Gordon Gekko.
Public's out there throwing darts at a board, sport. I don't throw darts at a board. I bet on sure things. Read Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Every battle is won before it's ever fought. Think about it. You're not as smart as I thought you were, buddy boy. You ever wonder why fund managers can't beat the S&P 500? Because they're sheep. And sheep get slaughtered. I've been in this business since '69. Most of these Harvard MBA types, they don't add up to dog shit. Give me guys that are poor, smart, and hungry. And no feelings. You win a few, you lose a few, but you keep on fighting. And if you need a friend, get a dog. It's trench warfare out there, pal. Hey, Georgie.
Hey, Gordon.
How's Larchmont treating you?
Fine. How's the Praxor deal going?
Oh, you should know, pal.
Asshole.
And inside here, too. I got 20 other brokers analyzing charts, pal. I don't need another one. See you around, buddy.
And here's Gecko, probably hanging out at the Penn Club, a place I used to go play squash with some of my buddies in New York City. And he's telling Bud Fox the reality of what he does. He doesn't throw darts at a board. He said, you ever wonder why the S&P 500 managers can't beat the S&P 500? Because they're sheep and sheep get slaughtered. When I look at the crypto markets, I see volatility based on newbie traders, and I see a bunch of sheep getting slaughtered out there. Maybe you're one of them. Everybody I meet these days is trading some crypto in the background. Apparently 2 million people here in the UK out of 60 have crypto positions on. They have no business being in these markets. They definitely don't know how to trade. And it's going to cause a lot of pain unless you have that mentorship, that trading discipline, and that community to keep you honest. And so, again, I always like going back to Gecko and listening to this stuff is timeless and will always apply to your trading strategies. And I want to say this, and I'll go ahead and put this quote up on screen. What we're doing here is trading. This is not Netflix. Don't do it for the entertainment or for the rush, because that results in emotional decision making. You've got to stay disciplined and put in non-negotiable stop-loss orders to create the long-term success. That's what this is about. If you want to be an effective trader, and I spent most of my career in Wall Street, I was in the trading pits of Chicago, I worked in the city of London here for 10 years, I knew some old school, massively successful traders, men and women actually. And the ones that were in the game for the long time are the ones that were mentally disciplined. They learned to fight those emotions, to fight those bad urges, to put on stupid trades, to cut trades before they got the full profits. And all of this takes time, but you can master it. But it doesn't come easily, and it doesn't come without learning. So let's get into 3 principles today. I want to break down some things for you that maybe you're not familiar with. The first one I want to talk about is first this: how to profit from yield farming. You might have wondered what this is out there. You might have not exactly known what it is. This is a great picture on screen here. My grandpa actually used to grow barley, and we had one of those. He's called a windrower at his farm in Colorado. I wish my grandpa would have known about yield farming. Maybe he could have made more money than barley and potatoes, although he did pretty good. I want to talk a little bit about yield farming. I want to talk about the DeFi summer last year in May 2020, when compounds really kicked off what we know as liquidity mining, which is something slightly different than yield farming. It's about actually getting bonus tokens for doing your yield farming on a separate platform. Again, this could only happen in DeFi. That's why I'm so excited. I spent 15 years in the centralized finance world. In 1993, I went from MIT. I got a job at Bankers Trust in New York City. I was on the 33rd floor of Bankers Trust Plaza, right next to the World Trade Center. That building went down after the Trade Center went down, but I was on the 33rd floor and I traded fixed income derivatives. Later, I moved to Chicago to run their treasury options book. I was in the pits in Chicago, and I also came to London and traded credit derivatives and indexes for 10 years. I'd never seen anything like the DeFi markets. They're incredible because they come up with innovation that the banks couldn't and wouldn't do. And let's be honest, the banks are making fat profit margins, and we have for the longest time. That's why I was paid way too much money when I worked in central finance. But DeFi comes in with quick and real and intelligent solutions, and liquidity mining is one of the things that blew my mind and got me attracted to this space. So we'll talk about that today. And of course, the folks over at Urine Finance also doing some really great things when it comes to maximizing yield swaps and a lot of liquidity mining as well. And we'll touch on them later today. So that's point number 1. Second, I want to talk about liquidity. Liquidity is such an important concept. And again, probably something you crypto newbies don't even know what it means, liquidity. Liquidity is a simple concept, but it's a very complicated concept. And until you've been stuck on the wrong end of liquidity, you don't know what it is, all right? If you've been trying to dump your assets like on March 12, 2020, you're trying to get out of Bitcoin and it's down 10%, it's down 20%, it's down 30%. And you say, well, how come my stop loss orders aren't kicking in? Well, guess what? There's no liquidity. And if you've been on the other end of that, and I've been on that many times, you feel the pain of a lack of liquidity. And you also feel the warm, fuzzy feeling you get, like a nice warm hug or a meal cooked at your mom's house when you have that wonderful liquidity. And I traded in the US government bond markets and the Treasury futures markets and the interest rate futures markets for many, many years, where basically they're the most liquid instruments in the world. And it's a beautiful thing because you can put on massive positions, you can get in, you can get out, you can swap those instruments for cash like this. It's a beautiful thing, but of course that can also dry up. And I want to talk today about liquidity pools, which again is another incredible innovation that's happening right now in the world of decentralized finance. These instruments are absolutely amazing. And again, this wouldn't happen in centralized finance. When I worked as a bank at Bankers Trust, I had to make markets to the clients when they would come in. And if I was wrong, they would run over me like a truck, and they would stick me a bad position, and I had no choice. Now, I made money by transacting, but no one ever gave me tokens for doing what I was doing. Nobody ever incentivized me the way these DeFi platforms are, and that's why I know DeFi is the future, and that's why we're going all in on this space for the next 10 years, and I couldn't be more excited. So I'm going to talk about liquidity. I'm going to share an old video of me and Max Kaiser, the Bitcoin evangelist. This was recorded back in 2013 when I had different looking hair and I wore t-shirts, as you can see here. And also, I'm going to tell you some stories of when I was in Chicago. I worked at the First National Bank of Chicago. I traded their Treasury derivatives book from 1993 to 1997. And I did a lot of business on the Chicago Board of Trade and the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. These are these massive pits where there's like 300 guys yelling and screaming in these pits. You've seen them, right? In the movie Trading Places, you saw Eddie Murphy, but those were small. These were massive pits. And I would go down there sometimes and see my brokers. I would usually just call them on the phone and execute the trades, but I'd go see them. I took my mom down there one time. It's incredible to see what's happening there. All that's gone electronic now. But back then, that is where the liquidity was. And I'm going to talk to you about market makers and how they play an essential role and how crypto finally got their game together in the last few years. And that's why we're seeing DeFi explode. And lastly, I'm going to play a short video and give you a lesson of what happens when liquidity dries up. And of course, we're going to go back to my friend Gordon Gekko, and we're going to see that even the greats like Gordon can get stuck on the wrong side of liquidity. And you might have to call up your broker and say, dump it. And that means just get out of that position. I don't care what it costs me. And we've all been there. I've been there before, Gordo. So don't feel so bad. It happens to the best of us. Lastly, I want to talk about this concept of staking. Again, if you're watching me right now live on any of these platforms, leave me comments in there right now. Type in yes if you've done some staking. Type in no if you're curious about staking. I want to cover a few thoughts about staking and also give you my honest opinion about staking. I won't tell you exactly what I think, but I'm not so sure about it. Let me just say that. I'm going to talk about proof of stake versus proof of work, why it matters, and the kind of returns that we can see on staking. I'm also going to talk about this whole concept of yield of mining and how that's going to be potentially phased out over the next few years, and we're going to go deep into that as well. Lastly, again, I want to say what you're watching here is educational content. It's not financial advice. And look, before we get started into these incredible concepts in DeFi, a lot of you have been asking me about our brand new DeFi Academy. And look, it's been absolutely incredible. We have welcomed hundreds of students in for our first DeFi Accelerator, and the reviews are absolutely off the chart. It's absolutely incredible. And a lot of you have been to that page that we just put up there, which is the whole application page that you can find at londonreal.tv/DeFi. And the reviews are off the chart. And I'm just going to read to you a few of the things that came from actual students that are literally right now getting Module 3 today and are on my calls every single night. They're in my private groups. And they're going to be with us for a long time building the future of decentralized finance. We got David S. in the United States said, quote, I feel so much gratitude that Brian and his team have put together this academy. One of my main goals for the year was to educate myself on blockchain and surround myself with leading experts in the arena. I had already started the task and then DeFi appeared. David, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. From John D in the US, he said, quote, great experience. Everything is amazing. I am doing things that I am not used to doing. And by that, I am getting forced to be creative and level up. Exactly, John. I get my students to execute trades. I get you to do what you don't want to do in order to become the trader that you want to be. And that's what we're doing inside the academy. Lastly, we got Nyan in Canada, who's an incredible student. We really appreciate you, Nyan. And he said, Quote, I was blown away by the positive energy and excitement of our team. The resources were high quality. This is exactly what I was looking for. My confidence is increasing so much. Like, wow, guys. And thanks, Naim. We appreciate that. And again, there's hundreds more where that came from, and we really appreciate it. My students are crushing it. Last week, they put on their first decentralized exchange swap. They set up their hot and cold wallets. This week, they're putting on their first yield farming trades, their first liquidity pool trades, and their first derivative trades. My students will be buying a call option on Ethereum this week, as long as it's legal in their region. We get into the arena inside the DeFi Academy. We don't talk about crypto. We don't listen to YouTube videos about crypto. We put trades on, and that's how we learn. We learn. We get in the arena. We get bloody. We get dusty. We get sweaty. Sometimes we fail, but we always move forward, and we learn at an accelerated rate. This is how I live my life. This is how the DeFi Academy works, and my students are absolutely crushing it, and I couldn't be more excited. The energy's off the charts. And look, if you've ever felt alone in the DeFi space, and I think most of you have, there's no one to talk to, there's no one to trust. What do? Do you trust Elon? Do you trust whatever's being thrown up on a website? Do you trust what China is going to tell you? You have no idea where this information is coming from and what agenda has on it. And you're out there trading on the back of it with tons of dopamine spikes, your fear of missing out, you're panicking, all this stuff happens. And you really need a trusted source of information. You need a mentor, you need a community, you need a game plan, and you need a foundation. That's what I offer inside my DeFi Accelerator. And I am pleased to announce we are opening up our second DeFi Accelerator. There's been so much demand. They said, Brian, you can't do a one-off on this. There's no way you can do a one-off. So it is officially open now. If you go to londonreal.tv/DeFi, DEFI, submit your application and sell me on why you should be a part of my elite team that we're taking over into the future. Sell me on why you should be there. Give me a quick application there and tell me, what do you bring to the table? Education, resources, connections. Maybe you just bring enthusiasm. Sell me on this application. I read these personally, and if I think you've got what it takes, if I think you have the right stuff, then I'm going to accept you, and you can be a part of this incredible journey together. August 2nd, the next course is starting out. But again, we're actually already filling up right now. So we have limited spaces, just like we did the first one. This will probably fill up in the next week. So get your applications in right now and join me, because I'm going to teach you how to profit from the greatest dislocation of wealth in human history. I'm looking for a small, select group of people who want to become part of and actively participate in this upcoming DeFi revolution. I'm looking for partners. I'm looking for collaborators. I'm looking for colleagues who want to join forces with me and create real value and generational wealth for yourself. I believe they go hand in hand. I don't think it's one or the other. I think you create real value for billions of people in the world, and you create generational wealth for yourself. And again, the next DeFi Accelerator kicks off. It's the keys to unlock a $9 trillion market space. We have a limited number of spaces available. It's an application-only basis. It's 4 modules, 8 hours of live calls with me, and it's 4 weeks long. The first call with me is happening, of course, on August 2nd. Be there, 6 p.m. London time. It's personal coaching by me, exclusive access to all of my online videos, my workbooks, my platforms. I've got my triple-tiered accountability system. I've been teaching this way for almost 7 years. I've got dedicated coaches, team leaders, community managers, over 10 people that are helping you on your journey. And of course, I got a private group for posting assignments, getting feedback. Everything is happening, and the course is filling up. It's filling up fast. So get in there, put your applications at londonreal.tv/DeFi. We have been inundated with applications from around the world. There's real interest and passion in here. And I will say this, if you get one of these in your email box, if you see this picture in your email, you know your life is about to change, because it will read, your application to be part of the DeFi Academy has been successful. If you see that picture in your inbox, I guarantee you need to do one thing. Click the link, type in your digits on your plastic, and join me, because this is going to change your life forever, and I can't wait to be a part of this journey. So if you're one of these few people that wants to be a part of the future, go to londonreal.tv/DeFi and apply now. Again, sell me on why you should be a part of this academy. Let me just say, this academy is not for the following people. I do not want you in my academy if you are one of these things. First of all, It's not for crypto day traders. Please go somewhere else, lose your money somewhere else. I'm not interested, don't apply. Second, it's not for get rich quick audiences, people looking to get rich overnight. Please go somewhere else. The crypto space is full of them. Go knock on another door. That's not happening here. I'm not looking for people that are interested in meme coins and internet trolls. Please go somewhere else. I'm not looking for blockchain fanboys or crypto academics that want to talk about white papers and draw diagrams on a board all day. That's not what I'm looking for. So if you're one of those people, please don't apply to my academy. I don't want you here. What I'm looking for is a small group of people that are like-minded with me, that want to invest in this incredible technology long-term. I'm looking for people that want to pull the trigger, get into the arena, who are ready to experience failure and massive success. And again, this is not for crypto day traders. It's not some get-rich-quick scheme. Go somewhere else for that. There's plenty of people in crypto selling you that. Please, go somewhere else. Instead, my team and I are going to be building in and investing in crucial parts of the DeFi infrastructure and the future. There's incredible opportunities here, but only people taking a long-term perspective need apply. I'm going to be dedicating the next 10 years of my life to this DeFi ecosystem and giving financial freedom back to the people, the billions of people who are suffering right now. And again, we're closing this thing out soon. Go to londonreal.tv/DeFi if you want to be a part of it today. All right, let's get into this broadcast. I'm super excited you're here. By the way, I'm streaming live on 4 different platforms, so I want to hear from you right now. Answer one of these questions. They're coming right to my iPad. First of all, how do you rank yourself as a crypto trader from 1 to 10? 1 being a complete newbie and 10 being an absolute best. And what is your single biggest challenge as a crypto trader? That's what I want to know. Second of all, do you struggle with understanding complex DeFi concepts like yield farming, liquidity pools, and staking? How does that work? Tell me what you struggle with. Please put your questions in. Third, do you get emotional when trading crypto? And do you struggle with poor discipline? And tell me how. This is really important. And lastly, what questions do you have in general for me about DeFi? And would you like to learn from me how to profit from the greatest dislocation of wealth in human history? All right, type those questions in. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We're streaming everywhere. So put them in now. They're going to come right to my pad. And I want to kick off and talk about this concept of yield farming. Now you're out of here thinking, what is yield farming? If I told this to my son Caden, he'd say, what? What's that mean, Brian? What's that mean, Papa? This is yield farming, and this is a funny diagram of, again, it's actually called a windrower that cuts down pieces of barley. And this is what a farmer would do. He's basically putting crops out there into the ground, and they're gaining yields from spending time with these assets. And today I want to talk about how we can do that when it comes to cryptocurrency. It's really important. But before we talk about yield farming, I want to talk about something even more important. What is the difference between cryptocurrency and DeFi? Think about it. What is the difference between cryptocurrency and DeFi? Really think about it. Because cryptocurrencies have been around since 2009. For the past 10 years, we've had Bitcoin. It's been liquid. And yeah, it's been amazing. It's been permissionless, borderless, anonymous. We were always able to transfer value. But the problem with these cryptocurrencies is they remained that one thing, currencies. All they could do was transfer value. And in that sense, there was something wrong, because what we're talking about today is DeFi, or decentralized finance. Finance is so much more than currency. Finance includes everything. It includes borrowing, lending, trading, funding, derivatives, insurance, and much, much more. So much happens in finance, which is why it's such a big industry, $9 trillion a year. And again, finance represents the entire financial orchestra. Crypto, or Bitcoin, is just one instrument. And so it's important that we understand there's a lot of facets to the world of finance. And if you think about borrowing and lending, this goes back thousands of years. I think it was back in 3000 BC, back in Mesopotamia, where we first saw evidence of lending. And some of the Sumerians and Assyrians and Babylonians, what they would do is they would borrow food from each other, and then they would use future crops to pay off that debt. I think that's one of the first recorded lending markets in human history. So this isn't new. And actually, even on Wall Street, this is not a new concept. If you ever have short sold or a bond or a stock and gone short, you have to borrow that instrument in order to sell it. So you would have already been borrowing securities in the past if you ever executed some of those trades. And I did a lot of that. Back in the 1990s, I traded US government bonds. So from 1993 to 1995, I was on the fixed income derivatives desk at Bankers Trust in New York City. We had a massive book, some probably $1 trillion plus book of fixed floating swaps, and we hedged it with massive amounts of US Treasury bonds, 30 years, 10-year Treasury notes, 5-year Treasury notes, 2-year Treasury notes, and futures. Mercantile exchange futures on euro dollars. That's what we did. And we were doing massive amounts of size on this. And so I was constantly trading in these instruments as well. And in treasuries, we have a lending market, and it's called the repo market. And it's what you can do if you need to borrow something or lend a security. And so what I would do is I would buy 30-year bonds and get a 6% yield. And then I would borrow those bonds for overnight funding rates of 3%. And I would do something called riding the curve. I would take advantage of those 3 percentage points by investing long-term and borrowing short-term. This is a classic yield farming example that's been going on in the government bond market for probably 40 or 50 years. So this is not a new concept, but it got new in crypto and it got accelerated when Compound got into the game. So last year, around May 2020, really around the DeFi summer, when crypto goes down, that's where the bear market comes in. And that's where you get rich. And so we saw Compound do something extra. They said, first of all, you can lend us your crypto and we'll pay you an overnight return. But guess what? On top of that, we're also going to give you extra comp tokens. And no one had ever seen this before. And again, in centralized finance, there's no equivalent. When I would used to do this with treasury bonds, no one said, well, we'll give you an interest rate, Brian, and we'll also give you these special tokens that might skyrocket in value that you can use for this or this or that. You know, it's almost like reward points, like on an airline, or if you go to like a typical shop or a food market, they give you these extra points that have value. DeFi saw a way to do this, and when Compound introduced these comp tokens as rewards for people doing yield farming on their platform, it absolutely exploded. Everybody started lending and borrowing crypto, and the yield returns for lending basic cryptos overnight went into double and triple digits for yields. That's like 50, 60, 70, over 100% annual percentage yields. It's not realistic, and it didn't last. But it showed the world that DeFi and its innovation was here to stay. And so we saw this entire market of yield farming and of liquidity mining take place. And we've seen other companies take it to the next level. Aave's done great things. Also, Yearn's done great things. And so you need to understand how these markets work. You need to understand that people are constantly borrowing and lending these instruments. You need to understand these extra tokens you get from these exchanges and all sorts of other intricacies that, quite frankly, are changing every single week in DeFi. And that's why I say this. If somebody tells you they're an expert in DeFi, they're lying, because there are no experts in DeFi, because the market is changing every single week. We're learning new information. All of these protocols and these dApps and these blockchains are being stress tested. We're seeing what happens. We're seeing when things go wrong. We had Mark Cuban talking about triple-digit yields on Iron Finance a couple weeks ago and how great it was. Well, you know, with reward comes risk. And if something's too good to be true, then maybe it's too good to be true. Now, look, hindsight's 20/20, but Mark and everybody got burned on Iron Finance as they saw those things literally go to zero. So it's great to get 100% overnight yields, but that doesn't make much difference when your tokens are worth zero the next week. So always keep in mind there are trade-offs, there are risk and rewards, even if you can't see those risks. And that's why crypto is very different. DeFi is different. There's nobody protecting you, which also makes it very exciting. And so those are the basics of yield farming. What I'm making my students do this week is to put on their first yield farming trades and to get out there and get in the arena. That's what we want. You know, anybody can comment from the sidelines, but the best way to learn is to put these trades on. So they'll all be putting yield swaps on. They'll be learning the hard way. And that's why I'm so excited about the Academy and this entire ecosystem. Once you understand this by trading the instruments, you can make intelligent long-term trading decisions. So there you go. Always remember, there are risks out there. So these platforms bring bad code. They bring hackers. They bring all sorts of other issues with token economics that haven't been thought through. So remember, always assume your capital is at risk, and that's always an important thing to do. All right, I want to go to your questions now on Zoom. First of all, how do you rank yourself as a crypto trader from 1 to 10? 1 being a newbie, 10 being an absolute Gordon Gekko best, and what is your single biggest challenge? Second, do you struggle with understanding complex DeFi concepts like yield farming, liquidity pools, and staking, and how? Third, do you get emotional about trading crypto? Be honest. Do you get emotional, and do you struggle with poor discipline when it comes to trading crypto and DeFi? And lastly, what questions do you have for me about DeFi, and would you like to learn from me how to profit from what I'm calling the greatest dislocation of wealth in human history. Again, leave me a comment wherever you're at right now, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Leave me a comment. If you've never left me a comment before, please leave one now. And of course, we want to give some love to our in-studio audience on Zoom right now. So everybody give me a wave if you're on Zoom here. I see a bunch of people waving out. Please turn your cameras on as well. I want to see all of you. I see a bunch of waves. This is our in-studio audience. And if you're on Zoom, you get priority here for my questions. And I really appreciate that. First, we'll go over to Instagram. Bill Lando says, I want to join. Great, Billy, no problem. Go to londonreal.tv/DeFi. Give me an application. Tell me why I should bring you into this team. That's what I want to hear. And I'll review your application personally right when I'm done with this live broadcast. We've got Island Rosner on Instagram saying, started in February and I'm still learning. That's the kind of person I want in my academy. Still learning. I'm still learning too. I've been in the financial markets for 30 years. Trust me, I'm still learning. So that's the kind of mentality we want. I appreciate it. We got Anthony Williams on Zoom. Thank you, Anthony. Give me a wave here. We appreciate you. And he says, it's great to be here. I love Brian and his DeFi revolution. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, Anthony. Great to have you here. We got Mel Nelson, 18 on Instagram, says, why will there be the greatest dislocation of wealth in history? Great question. Mel, I worked in finance for 15 years total. Started in 93. I finished in 2010, 11, right before I started London Real. There was so much money being made. And a lot of times, by the way, that's our gong that we just hit inside here. I don't know if you can hear it, but we hit that gong when someone's just joined our DeFi Academy. So I want to give a shout out. That was David Leahy, who actually just joined us. So David, we appreciate you. Welcome to the team. Get in there as well. You're going to jump into Module 0 right away. Upload your introduction video into Facebook, and we'll be telling you next steps next. So I appreciate that. Back to your question, Mel. I was in decentralized finance for 15 years, and I used to joke with one of my clients. His name was Luca. He was from Venice. And he traded over at Credit Suisse, and he was trading one of the credit derivatives books. And I said, Luca, I've never seen so many incompetent people make so much money in the city. And he used to laugh out loud. He's like, yeah, Brian, these people, they should be working at McDonald's and they're making 250 grand a year. He said, it's ridiculous. And I said, you know, I'm happy to be a part of it, but this doesn't even make sense. How come one skill set, when you apply it to finance, you get paid 5 and 10x what you could in another skill set? And let me tell you why, Mel. Because there is an oligopoly in the centralized financial system that refuses to innovate because there's so much cash. And by keeping everybody out, by keeping all the DeFi players out, by making it hard for you to bank, by making it difficult for you to trade, by making you have to go through them as gatekeepers, they hold on to all of those margins, all of those profits. And let me say one other thing. Wall Street, City of London, Tokyo, Singapore, they all want you to trade as often as possible. That's how they make the most money. We used to say back on Wall Street, churn them and burn them. So if you look at your crypto exchanges and you look at your news services and you look at Twitter, all you see are people trying to get you to buy and sell. And who wins in the end? The house always wins. So remember, that's the same in CeFi and DeFi. These institutions are sitting on a market that's never properly been dislocated. It's never really been interrupted by the internet. And now we have the internet of money. So that's what's going to happen in here. $9 trillion a year are going to be freed up in the fees and margins and spreads that right now they're ripping out of you, the everyday working man and woman, and it's not fair. Right now, your money is being ripped off out of your stocks, out of your savings account, out of your retirement plan, out of your insurance, out of your pension, but you just don't know it. They're ripping out 5, 10% of your income every single year, and you just don't know it. And they'll keep doing this until you wake up. And DeFi is your chance to wake up, and it's incredible to see what this ecosystem is going to do, and it's going to give financial freedom back to the people. I think it's your basic human right to have your own financial freedom and be able to use your own finances the way that you should. We've been taught our whole lives by our schools that you're too stupid to manage your money. Oh no, that belongs to these experts over here. Well, I worked in the banks. There's no experts there. They're fleecing you is what they're doing. If you worked for the money, you should be able to invest the money. And once you see DeFi, you'll see exactly how to do it, and you'll have a better relationship with money. It's all very important, and this is why we have a mission here, and that's why we're all in on this. So great question, Mel. I got Russell Turner on Instagram says, I like the shirt and tie combination. Thank you, Russell. I'm trying to mix it up. Sometimes my wife agrees. Sometimes she thinks I'm way off. So I'm always trying to really shake it up. So today we went with something a little controversial. I got King James Etim on Zoom. Appreciate having you here on Zoom. Says, yes, I'd like to know how staking works. And again, we just saw, James, you applied to be part of the DeFi Academy. So I'm going to go review your application now. I'm going to get into staking shortly. Great question. On a similar theme, we got Selin on Zoom says, what is staking precisely? And I'm going to get into that, so great. And we got Raj on Zoom, who's actually a student in the current accelerator, so great having you here, Raj, who's watching this with his kids right now. We've got Jaime, who's in our accelerator right now, who's taking the course with his 10-year-old daughter, who quite frankly has more crypto trading experience than you do. Like, she's been doing this for like a year, and they're taking the course together. I can't wait until I get my sons that are 4 and 5 years old trading in DeFi and trading crypto. So probably maybe another year. And my boy Caden's going to be whipping it up in there just like Gecko. Maybe I'll get him a suit and tie like Gecko as well, and he'll be behind the desk doing all that stuff as well. So great to have you here, and great to have you on that accelerator. And there's a lot of current accelerator students here. Great to have you here, Randy, Daniel, Corinna, and Stavros. Module 3 has dropped. I need you to jump into that right away. It's a difficult module this week. I'm asking you to put on a lot of trades. You're going to be uncomfortable, but we're all going to get there together in the group, and we're going to hold you accountable to put these trades on. So get to work. I'll see you Monday night for that live call, and I expect that work to be done so we can talk about how to make you into a better trader. So I appreciate you there so much. On a 1 to 10 scale of trading, from newbie to gecko, I got Karen Swellgard Harris on Zoom says, I'm 1 as a trader. I'm second guessing myself. So thank you, Karen. I appreciate your honesty, and we appreciate honesty and vulnerability in our groups. We can always help people that are vulnerable. So Karen, that's great. We need to get you up the curve, but at least you know where you're at. What you need is discipline. You need mentor. You need a structure, and that all comes inside our DeFi Academy. We've got Anthony Williams on Zoom says 1 on a 1 to 10 and managing my time for Cryptoverse. I'm telling you, the Cryptoverse, it's crazy. It's like a circus. It's like a circus on planet Mars on crack. That's what the crypto space is like. It's literally got so many blinking lights and so many dopamine spikes, and it's trying to constantly get you to buy and sell and buy and sell. What you need to do is you need to stop reading that news, because it's going to kill your trading strategies and all of your trades going forward. A couple more things. I got Archie Warren on Zoom says, I'm a 4 on the 1 to 10 scale. Only started DeFi recently, normally making money but got burnt. I appreciate that. And we got Andrew Bowie on Zoom says 5. And you have low capital right now. That's something we address as well in the accelerator. So I appreciate those honest statements. Let me get back into our second topic, and I want to get through this, and that is this concept of liquidity. What is liquidity? Liquidity is such an important part, and liquidity and liquidity pools are so crucial. And I want to explain what liquidity is. And before we go any further, let's talk about what it is, because I think liquidity is the most important concept in finance. Bar none, it's the most important concept in finance, and I still believe it's poorly understood by even you so-called geckos out there. I think you actually don't understand liquidity, and you definitely don't understand it until it bites you in the butt. So what exactly is liquidity? Well, let me define it for you. Liquidity refers technically to the ease of which an asset or a security or a crypto can be converted into cash without affecting its price. Let me repeat that. Liquidity refers to the ease of which an asset or security can be converted to cash without affecting its price. And again, we all know that there's highly liquid instruments out there, there's medium liquid, and there's illiquid instruments out there. Highly liquid instruments I would classify as US government bonds. You could sell 1 billion of those suckers real fast and get your cash, probably within seconds. Foreign exchange, like dollar sterling, dollar euro, dollar yen. You can put billions through there and it won't move the market. You get your cash out, you can move it. What else? Certain stocks in the S&P 500, you can move chunks of Tesla stock and chunks of some of these big companies. Yeah, you can do that as well. And even Bitcoin and Ethereum, you might say they're liquid on a good day. And that's the point I'm trying to make here. At any given point, any instrument can become illiquid. Think about this. Think about wars. Think about pandemics. Last year, March 12th, Black Thursday. Think about market crashes, mass uncertainty. All of these factors can turn a liquid market illiquid immediately. Type yes in the chat right now if you know what I'm talking about, all right? So we have to understand even these supposedly liquid markets can dry up quickly, and when they do, you're gonna feel the pain, and it hurts, and I've been there. I'm gonna talk about that shortly. Before we do, I wanna talk about some other instruments. We've got medium liquidity instruments, and some of those might be some of these altcoins where it's hard to actually get some size off without moving the market. It could be things that might take you hours or even days to convert into cash. It could be things like penny stocks. It could be things like jewelry or a car. You could get out of your car position. Maybe you got a Ferrari, but it might take you a few days to sell that sucker. And of course, we got illiquid instruments, things like art, property, businesses that could take you 6 months or a year to sell. So it's important to kind of understand those liquidity issues and understand that liquidity is everything. Now, back in 2013, I had a conversation with Max Kaiser, who went all in on Bitcoin, is still all in on Bitcoin. He's been, honestly, an ambassador for Bitcoin for the past 10 years. And in 2013, he was at London Real Studios. This is my old studios in my kitchen in my flat. And I spoke to Max because I just bought 2 Bitcoin. I just paid 85 pounds each for my Bitcoins. That's about $100. And I was complaining to Max about the lack of liquidity because I bought on some type of exchange where there was actually no market makers and there was no liquidity. Let me fix this real quick here. And so the problem is that everything was based on an order book. Now, what's an order book? An order book is when you go in, if you want to buy something, you can only do it if someone wants to sell the same asset in the same size at the same price. And as we saw in those early days of crypto, it was a very clunky and illiquid marketplace. So here's me and Max talking about the early days of crypto.
Do it on that front.
And rough market price right now of a single Bitcoin?
It's 105, I think.
Dollars,
yeah,
right?
Actually, per dollar.
Okay. I own 2 Bitcoins. I'm not as rich as Max, but I bought them the other day. I got fleeced on a exchange that was buyers only, and I didn't even see a two-way market, even though I traded for so long, and I paid like 85 pounds for Bitcoin. I should have paid 71.
Well, no, the exchanges, I think, are the biggest vulnerable spot to the whole Bitcoin ecosystem. You know, the Bitcoin protocol talks about how to mine Bitcoin. It doesn't talk about how to price a Bitcoin. You know, pricing Bitcoin, you need a market for that. And the market is... from my experience creating virtual markets, and I created the virtual specialist technology, I can see where you could, you have to create depth in the market. You have to create liquidity. You need a counterparty to this market, which you don't really have. Right now, the exchanges are just matching buyers and sellers. They don't make a market. And what I mean by that is that on the New York Stock Exchange, I can go down there and I can sell 10,000, 50,000 shares at the market guaranteed. Now, my price might not be great, but they will guarantee a price, because if there's not enough of the volume to offset that trade, the specialist acts then as a principal,
right,
not just as a broker, and they go into their own inventory and they put their own capital at risk to make that trade happen.
And so that's an excellent clip because it really shows how in the early days of Bitcoin, there were no market makers and there was no liquidity. And you heard me say, I got fleeced. I paid 85 pounds when I thought I should have paid 71 pounds for my Bitcoin. And Max went on to say, because there's no market makers, no one's acting as a principal, which means they're willing to buy and sell at the market price. It means you got to take a position. You might all of a sudden own Bitcoin or be short Bitcoin, and it might not be what you wanted. That's what a market maker does. And they make the bid offer spread. That's how they make money in the long run. And when I was on Wall Street, my job was to make markets. And that's how we made our spreads on Wall Street. When I moved from New York City to Chicago, I worked for the First National Bank of Chicago. I traded their Treasury options book. I was 24 years old. They gave me a bunch of money to go to Chicago. They gave me an apartment on the 40th floor, overlooked the lake. It was pretty cool. And they said you can trade whatever you want, and you can also go down to the pits and trade as well. And I used to go down to the Chicago Board of Trade and the Mercantile Exchange, and there were these massive pits. And I'll put a picture on screen. This is what they look like. This is literally 300 guys, the size of American football players, because you got to be big in here, because literally you have to push and shove people to get trades done. And they would be down there, 300 of them, literally corralled in, almost like animals in a pen. And they would be there for 8 hours a day, yelling and screaming, trying to buy and sell. And the guys, mostly guys, at the center of those pits were known as locals. And they would spend up to $500,000 just to own a seat on the exchange. That's it. They don't get, that's just to sit there, just to stand there, you would pay $500,000 a year. And the reason they did that is because they were market makers, and they would always give someone a price to buy or sell an asset. No matter what, they would make a market. They would also see every single trade, and they would have all the information of what was happening with that particular market or security, which means in the early days, before news, before electronic trading, they knew what was going on and they could make money off the back of it. The problem with crypto is they never had market makers like that. They never had that, so it struggled with liquidity for many, many years until DeFi introduced liquidity pools. And these are these incredible innovations that, again, this could have never happened in the centralized finance world. Never. Sure, there were market makers, but it was always hard to quantify them and pay them correctly because you never really knew how to pay a market maker. Again, it's dangerous being a market maker because if you're sitting there and a whale comes in to put on a big position, you can literally take the wrong side, the market moves, and you have the wrong side of that trade. But also, you can make a ton of money. And market makers make money, by the way, or liquidity pool providers make money when there's high volume and low volatility. That's when you make those bid offer spreads and people are using you to buy in and out of that liquidity. And so when DeFi created liquidity pools, everything changed. And I would argue that without DeFi liquidity pools, there would be no DeFi ecosystem as we know it. These things are what create the markets that has created this amazing ecosystem with so many deep financial instruments. And so just quickly, a liquidity pool is when you go into one of these dApps and you give them two assets. It could be any asset. It could be a stable coin versus Ethereum. It could be two stable coins, one versus the other. And you put in an amount of each one of those assets and you just provide that liquidity to the pool. You don't know what's going to happen. Somebody might buy one and sell you the other. Someone might buy the other and sell you one. You know they'll do that, but you don't know which way the market's going to go. And by doing that, you deserve a small percentage of that trade. And so you get paid for that liquidity. And it's a complicated concept and one that probably most people will take a long time to understand, which is why inside my academy this week, my students are putting on their first liquidity pool trades. And they're going through module 2 right now, module 3. And I'm sure they're like, Brian, I don't even know if I'm ready for this. This is complicated. I barely understand it, but that's what we do inside my academy. We get into the arena. We stop talking about trading. We put the trades on because the best way to learn an instrument is to trade an instrument. I learned this over 30 years. And so by putting your liquidity pool trade on, you'll actually understand why these things are incredibly useful. You'll also be able to make a decision, is this really what you want to do with your money? Maybe it isn't, but you definitely need to know how liquidity works and how liquidity is incentivized. And I want to finish this module by showing you an example of a liquidity squeeze. And this is a clip of Gordon Gekko in the movie Wall Street. And it's him. He's trying to get out of Blue Star Airlines. Now, he thought he was going to buy Blue Star Airlines. Bud Fox was going to be the CEO. He had union consent. Gekko was going to break up the airline, sell it off into little pieces. Of course, Bud didn't like that idea. So he squeezed Gordon. And when the price is going down, Gordon now is trying to sell. He's trying to sell, but there's no liquidity. Where did it go? It all dried up. And Gordon can feel he's losing millions and millions of dollars. So even the Gordon the Gekko, the great, can struggle with liquidity, and we all can. And here is a short clip of Gekko trying to get out of his Blue Star position and Bud Fox telling him that there's no liquidity and it's not going to be pretty. So here's Gordo.
I don't know. There's got to be a way out of this, Gordon.
Sure, Harold, why don't you dial 911?
Fox is on 4.
Hey, Fox, where the hell are you? I am losing millions. Now, you got me into this airline. You sure as hell better get me out of the only job you're ever going to have on this street is sweeping it. You hear me, Fox?
You once told me don't get emotional about stock, Gordon. Don't. The bid is 16.5 and going down. As your broker, I advise you to take it.
Yeah? Well, you take it! Right in the ass, you fucking scumbag cocksucker!
It's 2 minutes to close, Gordon. What do you want to do? Decide.
Dump it.
The big Wall Street story today.
Dump it. That's what Gordon says, dump it. He's just seen liquidity dry up, the price gap down, and he knows he's still got to get out because who knows, maybe a few hours later, it'll drop even further. So even Gordo the Great can get squeezed on liquidity. And again, liquidity can be there and it can dry up in a second. So the only way to really understand it is to be in these markets, to be on both sides of these liquidity instruments, and to actually have the experience of trading. Because trust me, you can always learn a new lesson in liquidity. And if you think you've learned it all, the market will remind you. Trust me. And so now I want to hear from you. Ask me these questions for anybody out there. And again, I want to give a big wave and a shout out to all of our in-studio audience on Zoom. Give me a wave here. Turn those cameras on and let me see you. I want to hear your answers to these questions. First of all, how do you rank yourself as a trader from 1 to 10? 1 being a newbie, 10 being Gekko. Number 2, do you struggle with poor discipline and get emotional about trading, and how? Third, have you ever traded crypto or DeFi options, and how was it? And then finally, what questions do you have about DeFi, and how would you like to learn from me how to profit from the greatest dislocation of wealth in human history? Lastly, tell me, do you get emotional about trading? And do you make poor decisions because of poor discipline? All right, lastly, I want to talk about staking. Everyone's asking me about staking, and everybody wants to talk about this thing. So let's get into staking and talk about what it actually is. And you know, there's a lot of conversation around staking. I had an interview with Ben Armstrong, BitBoy Crypto, a couple weeks ago. And I said, Ben, how do you explain to your grandma the difference between proof of work and proof of stake? And he paused for a second and he said, you know what, Brian, it doesn't matter. And I was like, what do you mean it doesn't matter? He said, it doesn't matter. I said, but explain. He said, well, Brian, you use the internet, right? I said, yeah, I use the internet. He said, you know, have you ever typed in on the URL that HTTP / before a website? I said, yeah, I've done that. He said, you know what that stands for? HTTP. I said, no. He said, but you still use the internet, right? I said, yeah. He said, that's the way I look at these staking versus mining questions. He says, sometimes it's too much detail that's not relevant to you as a trader. And I appreciate Ben's point because there's so many of you, especially you newbie crypto traders, you go down these rabbit holes. And again, type yes in the chat wherever you are. Yes, I do rabbit holes. If you're one of these people that hears of a new idea and goes and researches it for 4 days, right? And forgets about the rest of the world. And when you come back, you're like, guess what? I understand staking. And meanwhile, you've either lost money or you've not traded and the markets are passing you by. This is one of the biggest problems that happens in the crypto space. I see it with my own students inside my academy. We have to get them to focus and to stop consuming worthless information. And so on one hand, I agree with Ben. Let's only learn about things that matter. They're going to affect our trading and affect the future. But I do want to cover staking and what it is right now. So again, let's get into it. There are different blockchains out there. Some of them are proof of work, like Bitcoin. Some of them are proof of stake, like Ethereum 2.0. A proof of work, like Bitcoin, is a blockchain that's built on computing power. And that was what was beautiful about the white paper with Satoshi back in 2008, which all of my students read inside my academy, is that it forced security based on the inherent lack of computing power in the world. So it basically said, all right, if you want to prove that that node is correct, that next addition to the blockchain is correct, you're going to have to outcompute the other guy. And then the next guy is going to have to outcompute the other guy. So you're going to have to keep running these machines at higher and higher levels, burn through some amounts of power, that's debatable, and a lot of hardware, but it does ensure that the blockchain is verified and correct. That was the original concept, and it worked really good for, 5-10 years. At some point, I think it was Vitalik Buterin back in 2014 when he thought about Ethereum, he said, wait a second, we're having all these computers that were in China running all this power, but they don't need to be. They're running all these simple these calculations that don't really matter. Why don't we just verify it based on whether we think it's the right thing for the blockchain? Why don't we have the stakeholders in the blockchain verify it instead? We'll take a question from, I don't know, over 50% of the Ethereum holders and say, does this look right? Yeah, it does. Okay, cool. You don't need a computer to create all of these transactions. They're quite simple. So moving from proof of work to proof of stake means this. First of all, you can take the computing power out. Second of all, you're allowing those stakeholders to verify the transactions. And there's lots of ways to make sure that they can't be overridden. And there's lots of penalties if you try to mess with this, by the way. They're going to pull all your crypto out if you try to do it by staking a bunch of Ethereum and doing it the wrong way. And there's all these algos on how it's going to work. And a lot of the new blockchains are already putting this into place because they think that maybe mining is the old school way of doing it and it's not sustainable. Now, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when it's put to the test. And we won't know until Ethereum migrates over maybe next year to what will become 2.0. It's still the same ETH. And we'll see how it works. We never know in this space until we actually see the proof of it. Bitcoin will not do that. It will probably continue with its mining, and we're going to see how that works out as well. What staking is this? Staking means that you can be one of these stakeholders. So right now, it's the miners that get paid the fees for cranking out those hashes and creating those new blocks. They get that extra little bit of crypto every single day, and that's why there's people running these big mining operations in China, and now they're moving to North America because apparently they were banned. As a stakeholder, all you have to do is approve that trade, and then you get paid the fee for approving that trade. If you want to stake, it means you take your ETH or your other crypto, and you say, I want to be a part of the people that decide on these nodes in the future. Now, there's some rules on staking. When it comes to Ethereum, I think you have to have 32 ETH. And not many people have that kind of pocket change. You can pool these as well. But remember, this is different than yield farming because you're getting returns based on the fees for approving transactions, not for lending someone the security so they can do something with it. And typically we see in yield farming, especially with ETH, it doesn't go too high. It's maybe 5 to 15%, whereas sometimes you see yield farming pieces really spike and go above 15. So again, staking is up to you. You need to make that decision. It also locks your crypto asset up for a long time, maybe 1 or 2 years, where you can't move or sell your ETH. So some people look at it like a dividend yield if you're holding a stock. For me, I think it's a pass right now. I think there's so much volatility right now in the space that getting an extra 5 or 8% to lock up my ETH for 2 years just doesn't make sense when the markets are moving 5% a day, not to mention what that is on an annual percentage yield form. But you should understand it, and it will be the future of some of these new blockchains, and at least you need to know the difference between staking, liquidity pools, and also yield farming. So that's my call on staking. I think it's important. I think you need to decide whether you want to be a part of it. Always experiment with small sizes. Always assume your capital is at risk. That is entirely sure. And you always have to be careful in these markets because these systems are untested. They haven't been stress tested, and that's always important to remember. All right, last questions. Right now I'm going to you on Zoom. How do you rate yourself as a crypto expert from 1 to 10? 1 being the noob, 10 being the get-go. And what's your single biggest challenge? Do you struggle with understanding concepts like yield farming, liquidity pools, staking? Did this help? Do you get emotional when trading crypto? Do you lack discipline when it comes to trading the markets? Most likely you do. And lastly, what questions do you have for me about DeFi? And would you like to learn from me how to trade these markets for the long run? Would you like to learn from me, my 30 years of trading experience? I'm still shocked these days at what a lack of discipline there is right now in these trading markets. And that's why crypto is so volatile, because there's a bunch of newbies out there who don't know what they're doing. Most of them are going to lose money, and it's going to be the long-term players that actually do well in this space. So a couple last questions. We got Daniel Mikic on Zoom. Great to have you here. And again, big shout out to our in-studio audience on Zoom. Just give them a wave. If you want to be on our Zoom call next week, just go to our website and log in. We'll get your email address and we'll give you that invite. So great to have you here, Daniel. He's also one of our current DeFi Accelerator students. And he said, the DeFi team is so amazing. And Brian Rose, you're the man. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, brother, having you on here. Honestly, I've been humbled and honored to be a part of this DeFi Academy. I'm the teacher, I'm the instructor, I'm the leader, but man, the talent in here, it's people I'm gonna be spending the next 10 years of my life with, building the future infrastructure. I've already found my tribe, and it's in this academy, and I couldn't be more excited. So thank you, Daniel, for being a part of it. We got Miss Meggie on YouTube that says, I love you, Brian. Thank you, Miss Meggie, I appreciate that, I love you too. We got Ashami4 on Instagram says, quote, I don't get emotional, but I am hungry for more staking and auto compounding. I can't get enough of this new asset class. Okay, good, Ashami, good. At least you're understanding it. You're understanding this compounding of interest, which is really good. But again, don't get caught up. Don't get emotional about these instruments. There's a lot of instruments to play out there in the orchestra. There's yield farming. There's liquidity mining. There's liquidity pools. There's all sorts of different asset classes. So again, don't get caught up on one thing. And always, of course, you want to diversify your risk across lots of different platforms and protocols. But great question. A couple more here before we finish up. This is your last chance to get your questions in. I got Balhinder Rihal says on Zoom, I am fine with handling my emotions, but I have to learn discipline. I am too optimistic about the way trades in their long direction or long term. So there's a good amount of strategy, protect funds, and utilize leverage at the same time. Great question, Baljinder. You know, you have to really take all the emotion out of a trade, and you have to put discipline on, which means every battle is won before it's ever fought. Just like Sun Tzu said, the way Gordon quoted him. You put on a trade and you already know the outcome. You already know when you're selling it. You already know when you're buying it. You already know. That way your emotions don't change your mind later. And we've all seen it. You know, when I interviewed Ben, he said, yeah, a friend of mine said that when Bitcoin goes down to 3,000, I'm going to mortgage my house and buy it all. And then, of course, Bitcoin dropped there back in the day, and he didn't do it. Because what happens is we get emotional and we change our minds. And that's lack of discipline when it comes to trading. And we're going to make sure that we put the discipline in. And that's how we trade long term. So it's great to have you here. I got Sal Blanca via Zoom who says, good morning, Brian. I'm inspired by what you're doing and I'm on board for sure. Yield farming is really technical. What tools do you use to avoid rug pulls? Great question, Sal. This is when we really don't understand the blockchains. We don't understand the technology. These dApps are new. Sometimes they're hacked. Sometimes there are real problems. You have to be careful, Sal. And for my students this week, we are only doing small trades on some highly liquid and proven dApps. And that's how we're really getting experience. So again, you have to be very risk averse in this space, but you also have to be willing to try things and experiment as well. This is why you need a community. This is why you need mentorship. This is why you need a structure and a roadmap of how you're going to learn about these ecosystems. You can't do it alone. I can't believe there's people out there trying this on their own. You're going to take a bath. You're going to lose all your money if you try to do this alone. I guarantee it. You need to have a peer group and you need to have more. And there's the gong that just went off. So someone else, another lucky person has joined the DeFi Academy and I couldn't be more excited. Kieran has just joined us. Kieran, we appreciate you. Again, the first live call is August 2nd. Get in the group. Module 0 is waiting for you. Upload your introduction video and strap on your seatbelt because this is going to be the most incredible ride. I can't wait and it's great to have you. So Sal, I hope that answers your question. I got Toka Malapo. who says via Zoom, I wish I had started much earlier, but guess there's no good time to start as now. Started learning since February, and I still am. Great point, Toka. I think it's that old Buddhist phrase that there's 2 good times to plant a tree. One of those times is today, and the other time is 20 years ago. And that's the way I look about DeFi. Yeah, you should have started a year ago or 2 years ago. Yeah, you should have bought crypto back in 2012, but you didn't. So what are your choices? Start today. That's it. Don't wait another year. Don't wait another month. This market's changing so fast. So make sure you get on there and make sure you make it happen and get those trades on now and make sure you get into this ecosystem. It's not too late. Trust me, it's not too late. And the best way to do it is to actually learn. And let me say one more thing. The community we have right now, hundreds of students right now in my accelerator, they bring points of view and perspective from, I think it's like 37 countries in the world. They're in like 14 different time zones. They sometimes are giving us the latest information on what's happening on the DeFi ecosystem. They're telling us about new blockchains, new dApps, new protocols, new legislation. The DeFi Academy is probably a better source of information than all these crypto news websites because they really aren't in the game. And again, I know who these people are. I've seen their faces. I know where they live. I know their real names. I know their trading history. This is a great, great group of people that are basically confidential advisors. It's like my consigliere is who they are. It's like having Sammy the Bull in there. I can go to someone and say, what do you think we should do? Think we should whack this crypto over here? Or do you think we should go over there and do something with these guys? That's what you think. And that's what's happening here inside our DeFi Accelerator. We have a trusted source of information. It's like the family. You know, come and join our family here. And we all stay together. And we make sure we take care of each other. We share information. And we're all about the long run. And it's all about everyone in the family winning. So that's what's happening here. Made a little bit of a mafia reference, but that's what it feels like. We trust each other. We know each other. We're honest about our histories. And we're honest about where we're going to go into the future. And I honestly, it's going to be a great adventure. We're going to make a lot of money together. We're going to change the world. We're going to create a lot of value. We're going to give financial freedom back to the people. And we're literally going to change the lives of 4 to 6 billion people who don't have access to advanced financial markets. It's a basic violation of human rights not to have access. And this is one of the final human rights we're going to fight for here at London Real. We fought for freedom of speech last year. We fought for free and fair elections here in London early this year. And now we're fighting for financial freedom. It's just as important as those other rights. And we're going all in, and I hope you come with us. All right, a couple more final questions before we wrap this up. We got Vanessa Agendas on Zoom says, I am a 1 at most as a trader. I need to catch up on what DeFi is all about. We appreciate you saying that, Vanessa. Look, we're all been there. We're all a white belt at something, so come join us and we'll get you up the curve. I got people that have never traded crypto inside my academy, but they bring enthusiasm to the table. They bring all sorts of incredible ideas. They bring things to us. So we're willing to look at all different skill levels as well. Who else have we got? We've got Vanessa. Oh, no, sorry. We got Renee asked via Zoom. What's up, Renee? Good to see you here. Turn those cameras on. She says, how to get started in the academy. Great question, Renee. And by the way, everybody gives me a wave here on Zoom if you're there. Turn those cameras on. Come on, give me some love. What was I going to say? Go to londonreal.tv/DeFi. That's DEFI. Submit your application, but sell me. Give me a good reason why I should read that and accept you as a student. So again, pitch me on there. Really pitch me. I'm going to read it myself and I'll review it in the next hour. So great to have you here. What else? We got Igor who says on YouTube, how many hours a week is enough for doing this? I'm not asking because I'm lazy, but working 10 hours a day, 5 to 7 days a week. Look, with all of my accelerators, it's 2 to 4 hours a week. It's not a lot of time, but the biggest time that you're going to waste is on resistance. You're going to procrastinate. You're going to try to be a perfectionist. You're going to talk about it. We get you to pull the trigger. So if you actually just go in and pull the trigger, it's 2 to 4 hours a week. You can get it all done on a Sunday afternoon if you fight your own resistance and stop procrastinating. So hope that answers your question. We got Lee Canis Diamond, currently a student in our academy. Great to see you here, Lee, who said, traded DeFi last week for the first time in the DeFi Academy. Was great learning, exciting, and can see the potential. Great stuff. Thanks, Lee. It's great having you in here. And he was one of our many students that had to set up hot wallets, cold wallets. Lee might have bought his first crypto on his centralized exchange. He might have actually done his first DeFi swap out there on a DEX, which is incredibly exciting. So Lee, great to have you here. Really a pleasure. We got Ruby Cox who says on Zoom, Brian, thanks. You made it so clear. My grandson is probably an 8 to 10 with DeFi. He trades, he stakes, he has gained from liquidity pools. I understood none of this, but you have made it clear to me. Thanks, Ruby. Just trying to do our part and see how we can help you. We got Lubosi on Zoom that says, my challenge is the best trading strategy, and that's great. This is something I'm covering in Module 4 next week. My entire academy is basically going to get their trading strategy for the future. That's what they're going to be dropped with. They're going to learn exactly how they can go out there and make a difference in these markets and really change the game and I couldn't be more excited to show them how to do it. We're talking about long-term trading strategies. These are gems that I've never shared with anyone in the world. This is stuff I boiled down from 30 years of trading the markets, and I can't wait to drop it on my students. We got Dan Powley on Zoom who says, good stuff, Brian. I enrolled and I'm ready to go in August. I saw you in there, Dan. I approved your application. I got Raj, one of our current students, that said on Zoom, I'm very happy to be part of the DeFi Academy. It was great value. My kid loves to be involved in the calls. He says London Real is very successful. Thanks, Raj. I appreciate it. And look, the feedback has been absolutely amazing. Again, I couldn't be more humbled, but we have really hit something here. We have the best DeFi community in the world. We have the best educational product. We have the best accelerator. We have the best knowledge base. I have the best trading strategies, the best discipline, and I've got the best program with the best leaders, the best team leaders. And again, it's just this incredible group of people with the right attitude who want to create generational wealth for themselves and create financial freedom for the rest of the world. We're taking a long-term perspective, literally thinking about what are we going to be doing in 2031. And I'm so excited. And so, Mao, my question to you is this. If you want to be a part of the DeFi Academy, it's your chance to apply now, today. Go to londonreal.tv/DeFi, that's DEFI, and you can go ahead and apply. And again, I will teach you how to profit from what I'm calling the greatest dislocation of wealth in human history. Ultimately, this is about freedom. That's the way I see it. Giving power back to the people and enabling them worldwide to access the financial markets that are going to improve their lives and the lives of their friends and families and communities. That's why we created the DeFi Academy, and I'm going to teach you how you can profit from all of these markets. I'm looking for a small, select group of people, and the reviews are off the chart. I got Anthony M. in our academy right now that said, quote, I love the level of accountability you create in the group. It's high touch point. I'm talking to my students every single day, sometimes every hour, to make sure that they're putting these trades on. I got Wei in Singapore, who's an incredible person, who said, quote, the materials really helped me to understand the basics of DeFi. Recording a vlog after each module helps me reflect on my current situation and think of how I can improve in the future. The accountability workbook helps a lot to push me to take action faster. Wei, I appreciate you. We put a lot of hard work in behind the scenes to make sure that this is a premium product. It is the best product out there when it comes to the DeFi educational space, period. And it's the best community out there as well. And I couldn't be more excited. And lastly, I got Ralford in the United States who said, quote, wow, I'm so excited to be involved in an opportunity that not only provides first-class mentorship, but also incorporates financial development among peers and the ability to assist the underserved at all times. He finishes by saying, at first, I was somewhat intimidated by the requirements. I appreciate that. But he goes on to say, but as I do the work and focus on each task, I am impressed by the thorough layout of the course materials. Thank you, Ralford. I appreciate this. Again, I've been teaching digitally and remotely for almost 7 years. I've got a whole team who are good at this. We've graduated over 5,000 students in 108 countries. That's why this product is premium, it's first class, and it's the best one out there. And that's why I'm looking for serious individuals that want to step up and join me on this exciting future and be part of this incredible DeFi infrastructure. I'm looking for partners, collaborators, and colleagues who want to join forces with me and create real value for the end user and generational wealth for yourself. If you're one of those people, apply now. Go to londonreal.tv/DeFi, that's DEFI. And I just want to be clear. This academy is not for the following people. I am not interested in crypto day traders. Please go somewhere else. I don't need your energy. I'm not looking for people that are looking to get rich quick and people that want to do that. Trust me, there's a lot of other platforms out there that'll sell you on that dream of getting rich quick. That's not what we're about. Go somewhere else. I'm not for people that are into meme coins and internet trolls. This is not for blockchain fanboys and crypto academics that love to read white papers and wax lyrical about all the theory and mathematics involved. Please go somewhere else. I'm looking for a small group of people who are going to pull the trigger, who want to get into the arena, going to get a little bloody, get a little sweaty. Yeah, we're going to take a few losses, but we're going to make some massive gains and some long-term success. I'm looking for people that are willing to go out on a limb, who are going to have my back, and I'm going to have their back as well. I'm looking for people that want to be a part of a family of DeFi innovators, of DeFi educators, of DeFi investors for the future. That's what I'm looking for. And inside my team, we are going to build the infrastructure of the future. I couldn't be more excited. We're taking a long-term perspective here, going all in on DeFi for the next 10 years. And if you want to join my elite team, now is the time. Our next accelerator is open. It's happening August 2nd. Your chance to join it. It's the keys to unlock a $9 trillion marketplace. And again, just to be clear, it's 4 weeks, 4 modules, 8 hours of live calls from me. And it's an incredible experience. And let me just break down exactly what we teach. We start off with Module 0. It's all about mindsets and philosophies. We get you in the right headspace. Then we jump into Week 1, Module 1. It's DeFi Explained. I decode the complex history of the entire marketplace. I go from Bitcoin back in 2009 all the way up to Ethereum 2.0 expected next year. I talk about how did we get here and why this phenomenon represents the biggest dislocation of wealth in human history. We go through everything from Bitcoin to Ethereum creation, to Maker, to Ether Delta, to the ICO boom and bust of 2017, to the creation of the user to contract model, Uniswap, and the creation of liquidity pools. We talk about synthetics, Black Thursday, compound liquidity mining, the DeFi summer, Yearn, yield farming, and of course, the future, Ethereum 2.0 and more. That's all in the first week. Then we get started to Module 2, which is get into the arena. Now I'm going to show you how to get those centralized exchanges working. You can never have too many of those. You know what I'm talking about. Get the hot and cold wallets set up and execute your first decentralized exchange swap. It's a little funny at first. Being on one of those DEXs is no joke. There's no customer service line. There's nobody to call if something goes wrong. There's no chat group there. You got to go and do it on your own, and that's why you need someone who's a mentor. You need a community who can make sure you can get through those difficult steps, and that's what my students did last week. One of them has been on this call and said it was an absolutely incredible experience. This week, in Module 3, my students are doing the big stuff, and that is me explaining these complex DeFi markets and trying to make them simple. We're going big on yield farming, liquidity pools, liquidity mining, derivatives, and yes, they will be executing their first option trade. Imagine, week 3 inside a DeFi Academy, some of these people have never even owned a crypto asset before, and they're going to be buying a call option on Ethereum. Are you kidding me? This is the way you learn these instruments. Most of you, or most of my students, probably wouldn't go 10 years before they'd feel confident enough to buy an option on an exchange. Yet with me, they're going to be doing it literally today. And that's what makes our product different than anything else out there. We get you to take action and we hold you accountable, and it's incredible. And of course, Module 4, I'm going to show you to how you place your bets for the future, to position your portfolio for the 22nd century. This is where the big gains are happening. This is a long-term strategy. This is trading with discipline. We have protocols, we have rules, and we have a community. It's more like a family. They're going to check you. They're going to watch you. They're going to make sure you stay disciplined and you don't make emotional decisions. And it's incredible to have them. And on top of that, I've got an incredible bonus module, which is really how to trade these instruments for long-term gains. I'm going to share you my own positions, my own picks for the future. I'm going to tell you how I manage my own risk and how I manage my emotions from day to day on a personal level. It's absolutely incredible. And of course, a lot of you have been hearing about this DeFi Investment Wizards group. It's an incredible group where we collaborate on a day-to-day basis. We share real information, not the fake information out there. And this is a group, but you're only allowed inside this group if you've graduated from my DeFi Accelerator. That's it. You have to graduate from my 4-week program to be qualified to be part of the Market Wizards, but that is the long-term family that we're going to be positioning, investing in protocols of the future, and basically exchanging information and trade ideas every single day. So I look forward to all my students joining me on Investment Wizards. And of course, this course just has so much going for it. 8 hours of live calls with me, personal coaching by me, access to our e-learning platform with all the videos, all the workbooks. You've got my triple-tiered accountability system. Over 10 members of my staff are working with you every single day. Private groups, private messenger chats. It's incredible what's going on, but there's a limited number of spaces available. We're already filling up for our next course. So this is probably going to be closed probably in the next week or so. Now is the time to submit your application, londonreal.tv/DeFi, and sell me on this application. Use those 50, 100 characters and say, Brian, this is why I really want to be a part of your academy. This is why you must accept me. Really, give me some good answers. Sell me, and I will definitely consider it. All right, so this is your chance, the DeFi Accelerator. Honestly, the price of this thing is highly discounted. I asked my team to double it this time, and they said, we're going to hold off one more class, Brian, before we double the price. This class is easily worth 10 times the price. The kind of mentorship you're getting from me, the trading discipline, the insights, the action you're taking, this product is easily worth $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. But we've highly discounted it, but it's only for serious long-term players. So I encourage you, go to our website right now. It looks like this. It's londonreal.tv/DeFi, DEFI. Type in your information, sell me, make it happen. That application goes right to my eyeballs. I approve it or not. And if you get that email accepting you, literally, you probably got minutes. Click on the link, pull out that plastic, type in those digits, or send us some crypto, lock in your spot, because that could go as well. We are filling up fast. I'm telling you, there probably won't be any spots available for this entire accelerator by end of year. It'll just probably be fully booked, and maybe for years to come. So the last thing I just want to say is this. Life all comes down to a few moments. This is one of them. And that's a line from the movie Wall Street, right before Bud Fox goes in to see Gordon Gekko. He's been waiting in the waiting area for hours and hours and hours, and he adjusts his tie, and he says to Natalie, you know what? This is it. I got 5 minutes to pitch Gekko the Great, and then I might never have this opportunity again. And so that's my question to you. This is it. Life all comes down to a few moments. This is one of them. This is your chance to go and pitch me on why I should do business with you. Pitch me on why I should allow you into my office, into my family, into my academy. Give me a good reason, because you've got this moment, just like Bud Fox and Gordon Gekko. You've seen him up there. This is you right now. Life all comes down to a few moments. And if you're watching me or listening to me right now, this is your moment. Take advantage of it. It might be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This could take you down a road of incredible enrichment, incredible purpose, incredible service to humanity, and also building generational wealth for yourself. Or you could just keep doing what you're doing with the rest of your life. You could keep day trading that crypto or whatever else you're doing with your life and miss this incredible opportunity. Man, I feel bad for anybody that doesn't join us on this incredible opportunity. So pull the trigger and join and become part of the London Real Academy today. Again, go to londonreal.tv/DeFi, submit your application, give me the best application possible, wow me, sell me, blow my socks off, and I can't wait to read that application. And again, I just want to say thank you to all of our incredible students in the DeFi Academy. You're the ones that are keeping me up all hours of the night. You're the ones that are making me deliver the greatest product we've ever produced here at London Real in our 10-year history. You're the ones that are making us deliver the best community in the DeFi ecosystem around the world, bar none. I'll take the Pepsi challenge against anything out there. I've got real people from like 30-some countries with real stories and real names who are putting real positions on the line, who are going to be part of our family for the next 10 years, create generational wealth, create financial freedom for billions of people. I couldn't be more excited. So thank you to all the students that have done that. And I look forward to seeing your application on my computer screen. I look forward to potentially welcoming you in my academy. If you get that email, click the link and join right away. I'll hit the gong and I'll see you inside that first private call, 6 p.m. London time, August 2nd. You'll see me dressed up. You'll see me on that Zoom call, and we're going to take your life to the next level. Thank you so much. This has been DeFi Real. We will see you next week. Leave me a comment, share this video, subscribe if you got some love from this. I'll read everything back later. And go out there, change your financial future, be part of the greatest dislocation of wealth in human history. Thank you so much. Big love. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye. DeFi, which stands for decentralized finance. This is a $9 trillion per year marketplace. I want to talk about our brand new DeFi Academy. Our first program is called the DeFi Accelerator, and we have been absolutely inundated with applications from around the world. I'm going to be talking about how you can profit from what I'm calling the greatest dislocation of wealth in human history. Decentralized finance is already revolutionizing the world of finance. You just don't know it yet. I'm going to talk about the difference between DeFi and cryptocurrencies. There's a big difference. I want to go into how to trade the markets. It takes a lot of discipline. It takes emotional discipline. It takes intelligence. It's not an easy thing to do. I'm looking for a small group of people who want to actively participate in this upcoming DeFi revolution. I'm looking for serious individuals only with real net worth who want to build this exciting financial infrastructure. I'm looking for partners, collaborators, investors, colleagues who want to join forces and create real value and generational wealth. If you're one of those people, go to londonreal.tv/DeFi and submit your application. Now you've got a chance. Life all comes down to a few moments. You have a chance now to join me on this incredible adventure for the next 10 years. It will change your life, the lives of your children and grandchildren, maybe the life of billions of people on this planet. What are you going to do? What's the choice that you're going to make?